Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr and welcome to another Should You Pull video for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Coming hot off the heels of probably one of the worst kind of batch of banners I've had for a while in terms of my own resources with Cloud and then pitying Beatrix, still having no Cloudburst to show for it. Today we're going to be talking about Xande, who is a brand new character to the game coming at the end of this week. And he's going to be coming along with some Dark Enchants, some really strong Imperils, and hopefully a Cloudburst would be nice for me. But if you'd like to know more about Xande and the event that's going to be coming along with him, then stay tuned and keep on watching. Of course, don't forget to check all of my social media links in the description box below before we go on, including Twitter, Twitch, Discord, and Patreon. Twitch this week, obviously, we're going to be tackling Xande's mission as it comes out, and then I'll also be streaming some more Final Fantasy XIV and some Final Fantasy II as well. And then with Patreon, I always shout out one of my patrons at random every time I release a video so that I can give my thanks to each and every one of you individually who decides to do so. And today the person is going to be Maxim121, who is a big old fan of the twins from Final Fantasy IV, as you can see in their title card just below. If you would like something just like this, or would like to join in with other benefits like being part of Would You Pull, or voice chats with me, then perhaps consider becoming a patron yourself as well. It's very much appreciated. Don't forget to check all the various links pertaining to Dissidia that are around me in the description box below, as well as all the other content creators out there besides myself. So first things first, as always with these videos, we're going to take a look at the new character and what's going to be coming along with them to see whether we feel out what kind of thing we can expect from them. Now the banner this time around is going to feature Xande, obviously, with his brand new kit, brand new everything, LD, EX, 15, 35, all that good stuff, as well as Zell and Aiko being the synergy characters, so they'll have their EXs featured, and of course Cloud is going to be returning for one last banner with his burst, but only his burst. Now Xande is an interesting character to say the least. Now he has something in his kit that not very many characters have in Dark Enchant for the party. So before we go into anything like that, there's a lot there to kind of look at, to kind of dissect even before we even look at that. Now he has a very odd kind of attack in Libra combo in that he has a special effect, as we've seen many characters have, but this one has varying different effects, like depending on how high a level they go. Now with just his 15 CP weapon and his level 60, its passives, etc., Circus Tower goes up to a maximum level of 3. However, with his LD, it goes up to a maximum level of 5. And you've probably seen something similar to this in Arden. Now, the Circus Tower gives different things depending on what levels they have. So at level 1 it does critical brave damage increases, level 2 it increases the stolen overflow, at level 3 it gives like extra splash damage to the two attacks, like through Quake and things like that, or Quagga as it becomes once you've got Circus Tower to a higher level. At level 4 it gives the party Dark Enchant, which is the thing you realistically want from Xande, and at level 5 it increases the HP damage dealt through splash damage again, which makes his AoE damage actually really quite high. Now, Libra combo gives him extra levels of Circus Tower, and it also gives the weakness control debuff from his 15 CP weapon, which is a defense down, and it's also an Imperil, but not just for Dark. It does it for Dark, Earth, and Fire. Now, Libra combo is a Fire and Dark attack, whereas his other attacks are Earth and Dark. So he imperils all three of them, which makes it very interesting in terms of team composition. It starts at 20% AoE, but that increases pretty heavily. I think it goes up to like 80% AoE splash damage once you've got the 5 levels of Circus Tower. Quake is a 4-hit Brave HP attack that's delivered twice that gives him Demon King's power, which is also like an Earth and Dark enchant for just him that increases his max bravery and his attack. And because it's a percentage-based Dark and Earth enchant, it stacks up nicely with the Dark enchant he's already giving the party. And then, by having 3 levels of Circus Tower, it becomes Quagga, which is what causes it to trigger twice. And basically, he just has a lot of very hard-hitting moves. He gets an HP plus and everything from his C60. He gets all of the good stuff as well, but obviously these get improved drastically with his EX and his LD as well. Now, his EX, Meteor, has a very unique sort of aspect that I don't think any other character in Dissidia actually has. It's a 5-hit Earth and Dark Brave HP attack that happens 3 times, and obviously it does 20% total HP damage, splash damage, which is increased by Circus Tower again. like on the last HP attack, and it gives him a stack of World Engulfing Darkness. Now, World Engulfing Darkness is a buff that gives him more attack per level, but it also increases the recast rate of his EX each time he gains a level for it. So basically, as long as you're staying on top of his rotations and making sure you're using Meteor at any given opportunity, the recast rate for Meteor is going to get faster and faster and faster. So basically, there's this like a momentum-based character. Like we have seen other characters like this, like Terra in the past is a similar kind of thing. But Xande does it in a very odd and unique way that's actually very powerful. And then his EX Plus basically makes it so you start with everything like straight away. So like you get World Engulfing Darkness at the beginning, you get Demon King's Power at the beginning, you start with a level of Circus Tower, so that's going to pick up quicker, and the enemies start with Weakness Control. So you start with pretty much all of the buffs that you would have gotten from everything. At 3 out of 3, this is when Meteor becomes a 3-hit Brave, or a triple Brave HP attack. And you also get a HP attack plus and a bravery attack plus, the HP attack plus being 3-hit, AoE Earth, Dark Magic, and single target HP. So it's not splash damage on this one, sadly, but it still all equates to a lot of damage, because you're hitting weakness damage, you've enchanted the party with Dark, which there aren't any characters that do that, really. So a lot of people like draw comparisons from Xande to Vivi, and I can kind of see where they're coming from on that one in a certain way, but there are things that Xande does that Vivi can't. And I'll get to that more when we get to the should you pull portion of the video. And then lastly, we have the LD, which is Destruction Quagga, which is unbreak, so you're going to get a guaranteed break even if they're already broken. And then it's going to do another double 4-hit Brave HP attack with splash damage. So with all the Circus Tower buffs, it's going to like really ramp up in damage. You get a Circus Tower buff from it, and you don't get you get a free skill use on the following turn. And then, as I said, this is the reason you want this weapon most is because it increases the number of stacks that Circus Tower can go to from 3 to 5, which is what gives you the party enchant and makes it so that you get a lot more damage on your AoE, like splash damage. So like it goes from 20% to 50% to 70%. I thought it was 80, it's not, it's 70%. And then you get 4 uses of this. So the number of skills you actually get with Xande, certainly once he's ramped up and he's gotten all of his stuff, like his EX is at max recast rate, you're gonna be doing a lot of AoE magic damage with Xande. So, as I said, there are a lot of comparisons between Xande and Vivi that people say, if I have Vivi, I don't need Xande. This is only true to a certain extent. Like I said, Vivi doesn't have party enchant for dark. Like, yes, Doomsday and Vivi's part does do dark damage, so if you have Vivi, you're probably not going to necessarily need Xande for his own Lufenia mission, which requires dark damage, but dark damage as a whole is, like, certainly Enchant and Imperil is pretty rare at this point in time, and because he has so many, like, multi-HP dump attacks, the capabilities for damage for Xande is actually very high, and because he's got these debuffs, these buffs that augment the party, things like that, there are things that he can do that Vivi can't. Though similarly, Vivi is much quicker off the mark. Vivi will do damage, he gets the fire imperils down, and stuff like that very quickly, and he's dealing the maximum amount of damage he's going to deal very quickly. But because Xande has all of these free skill uses he gets from his LD, he's got this silly fast recast rate EX once he's gotten max stacks of Demon King, of his World Engulfing Darkness. He actually has, like, he plays the long game a little better than Vivi, but there's no reason why you can't use both of them, to be honest, because you're getting these, like, stacking debuffs, like these imperils, because Vivi, like I said, doesn't actually imperil dark, he imperils fire, whereas Xande imperils fire, dark, and earth all in a framed debuff, and he's got and then he enchants Vivi with dark on top of his fire enchant. It all kind of adds up to a lot of damage. Just be prepared that you may need to continually heal yourself if you're using both of them. But the reality is that while I feel that people, like, say, oh, I don't need to pull for Xande because I have Vivi, there are still reasons to pull for Xande if you have him. But equally, having Vivi, they are both AoE magic damage dealers as a primary role. So if you do have him, then that may give you reasons not to want to as well. Now, obviously, Xande comes with a C65 and a cool ability. The C65 is just increased, like, weakness damage and things like that. It's useful, and it gives him, like, just extra damage on top of everything he's already doing, which is what he's good at. His cool ability is Libra Combo, which inflicts weakness control, which is the Fire, Earth, Dark resist down. So there might be reasons for certain characters to use this, like Gao, if he can't necessarily get his own Earth Imperil off of his LD as and when you need it, then you have another way of getting it. There are other characters that might be able to benefit from this that have Fire or Earth or Dark in their kit, Vivi for example, that can take advantage of this. In terms of his high armor, it's the attack keystone. It makes him deal more damage. Like I said, this is what he's good at, and it just does lots of AoE damage. So you could consider this if you plan on using Xande a lot, because he's kind of, like, the best way to describe him is kind of like a dark version of Kuja, where, like, he's aimed for AoE damage, but he has things about him that are beneficial to the party, such as longevity, the dark party enchant, like as a foil to Kuja's holy party enchant. So there are actually comparisons to make between those two as well. And then in terms of artifacts, very simple. C50 boosts his offensive stats, give him attack, he does AoE damage. Very simple on that front. So now let's take a quick look at the event that's going to be coming along with Xande, and therefore the Defenia mission that's going to be joining him. So this time around it's going to be a two-wave fight. The first wave isn't anything that's particularly worrying or anything like that. It's an O2 with 2 adds, and I think the reason that they've put the first wave in there is so that Xande has time to ramp up to his stack so that his EX recast is higher, etc. So it gives you that little bit of breathing space before you get into the real meat of the fight. Now the real wave of the fight is against 2 Assault Dogs, which is a very odd take on the mech enemies from FF8, which looks very strange. And the orb will appear at the start of the fight with a 20 turn count and then disappear again after they hit under 80% health, and then it will appear again at just under 60% health until they die. Now the way that you push the orb back is by dealing dark damage. Now there are lots of ways for you to deal dark damage, the primary options obviously being Xande and Vivi. Realm with Diablos can also be brought along for this as well, but honestly, like, just bringing a consistent form of dark damage is great, but I have seen many clears that just bring raw damage and then either a Xande friend, Diablos, or something similar to that in order to push through that 60% damage that you get at the second half of the fight. Because if you've got Cloud and Lightning, and then I've seen a lot of people use Kurosame despite the fact that the enemies resist ice just to put the debuff on them, so that Cloud and Lightning can do all the work for you. And that does work. I've seen many clears where you can do that. But there are little extra bits that you need to bear in mind. So in the they gain a shield at a certain HP threshold, so around 50%, 70%, etc., where they'll gain a shield that it isn't a buff, it's just there, and they cannot take HP damage until that shield is broken. So basically, you just want to deal raw damage. It's not a damage race unless you make it one by not bringing dark damage with you, but they do really nasty attacks if they get a turn while they've got this shield up. So you want to, characters like a Miditelian work well here. Obviously Cloud has delay, Lightning has delay, so those characters will all work particularly well. But if you're bringing along, say, Xande or Vivi, then you're going to be able to deal a large amount of damage regardless. And then they do have a red aura as well, where they'll just throw HP, Brave HP AoEs at you. But they can be really powerful, but as long as you're keeping your defenses up by characters like Beatrix or Gladio, and Lord knows I'm going to be using Beatrix in this mission because after pitying her, I will use her as much as I can. So I'm probably going to plan to take Beatrix and Vivi with me if I can't get Xande relatively quickly after the resources that everyone else has cost me, and then probably either Cloud or Lightning just so that I can push things as far back. Summon-wise, bring Diablos with you. Just save yourself the hassle. It's a source of dark damage. You're going to be able to push the turns way back up after using that. It's just going to help you massively. But in terms of the difficulty, as long as you have the raw damage to push through or a consistent source of dark damage, you should be fine with this one. So now we come to the big portion of the video, should you be pulling on Xande? Now, in terms of banner mates, definitely not. Zell is a meme for a reason, he's not going to help you a great deal in this particular mission, and Aiko has seen better days. But Xande is still a really strong character. I think a lot of people kind of sweep him under the rugs because Vivi exists, but the truth is that there are elements of them that are different enough that even if you have Vivi, there might be pause for you to want Xande. If you want a party enchanter for every element, there aren't many, if any, others that are quite as potent at dark enchanting as Xande. So the fact that he's a high-end damage dealer AoE is like Vivi, but has that capabilities, actually gives him just as many comparisons to Kuja as it does to Vivi. So if you want a dark enchanter for that, then he's going to do that job for you. If you still need Cloud's Burst, and you've already pulled on Beatrix, I actually think that Xande is probably a better character for most people to pull on than Beatrix was, but as we've all seen, I did not take my own advice on that particular front, and if you don't want to or can't spend burst tokens on Cloud's Burst, then you might as well try and get it here. And obviously with the comparisons with Vivi, like I said, they are actually relatively different. Like the fast recast rate EX, like the ramp is, if you want somebody that builds up to a climax of sorts as opposed to out of the gate throwing Doomsday but could run out of skills much faster than Xande could, then, you know, having Xande as a second AoE magic damage dealer isn't going to hurt you if you've got the resources to spend them. However, if you don't and you want a reason to save, Dark Party Enchant isn't an important one to have. It's not, there aren't many missions after this that require dark damage or anything like that. So you've got, and there are other dark characters coming, like Dark Knight Cecil, that will cover that job for you as well. If you already have Vivi, then that is less reason for you to want to pull on this banner, even if they are slightly different from one another. If you're reeling from spending on recent banners like I am, and you want to save up for, say, Dark Knight Cecil, or Furion, or Ramza, or the inevitable global exclusive that we're hopefully going to be getting in February, then this is a banner that you could save on. Xande will get a lost chapter at some point, and the chances are that Zell will probably get his LD on that one. So if you want a reason to save to, like, perhaps save the meme character, then that might be a reason for you to do so as well. I will probably end up spending some tickets on this, even though I don't want to, because I still don't have Cloud's Burst. And honestly, if Xande is nice to me, I might forgive Beatrix for her transgressions. So then at last, it's time for Would You Pull, the section of the video where you, the viewer, get your chance to let everyone know whether you would or wouldn't pull on a banner and why. Now with Xande, it's pretty split across the board, and honestly, I'm not surprised because there are some people who are in better positions than others, and I think that Xande, whether people are going to pull on him or not, completely depends on what their resources are looking like at this point in time, because 42% of people said yes, they were going to go in with tickets, 42% said no, they weren't going to pull on the banner, and 17% said yes, they were going to go in on gems, which I'm obviously quite surprised that so many people are going in with gems, but there are still a lot of people that want Cloud's Burst, and this is a great character to pick it up from. So Doma Dragoon says, Dark Enchant would be nice, but I have most of the other combination Imperil Enchant characters built up, so it's not as important as it could be. I'll put in a few tickets and hope for the best. If I don't get him, at least I'll have an excuse to use Zell in some relevant content for once. That's a nice reason to come away. Like, obviously Zell's not the greatest character in the world, but he's very popular because of his meme status within Opera Omnia, so I'm not surprised that people are going to want to use him for this particular content. Spickle here says, I've chosen yes tickets as I got very lucky with Beatrix, sorry Cho, and got her LD in 18 tickets. I mean, congratulations, I wish I could celebrate that with you. This means that I have more tickets left than I originally budgeted. However, I do not have the power stones needed to max this kit, and I am saving gems for Ramza, for I haven't decided how many tickets I'll be using. So, this is actually interesting. I'm curious actually, because budgeting for pulls is something that is a very difficult discipline to learn. Trust me, I know. I was originally only going to spend tickets on Beatrix, and we all know how that went. So I was curious, how do you kind of pull yourself away from a banner for a character that you really like, or a character that you're really after? It's something that I'm interested as to how people do that. Iabrea says, Cloud and Beatrix took 135k and 520 tickets from me. Well, first of all, I'm very, very sorry that there are people out there that have luck that's akin to mine, but I hope you got the burst at least. Xande might be good, but unless I absolutely cannot beat the Lufenia, I'm just going to pretend that his release is in 8 or 9 months when his Lost Chapter comes around. Thank you for the global exclusive VVLD that deals dark damage as well as Realm. I didn't mention Realm very much during the event part of this, but she is actually perfectly usable as a method of dealing dark damage on top of Diablos. Just be warned that her damage isn't particularly high, so you're going to need to make up for it elsewhere. And then finally, MTG Basilisk says, I'm going gems, but mostly because I want Cloud's Burst and figured I would rather spend gems on a banner with a new character than a banner where I only need an LD. I ticketed Cloud and Beatrix. Xande seems solid enough as well and can be used in several Lufenias, but if I get Cloud's Burst early or before Xande's gear, I might walk away without getting Xande. So yeah, I think a lot of people here, as shown by the comments and the votes themselves, I think that the way that people are going to be like pulling on Xande is completely dependent on where their resources resources are at this point in time. So perhaps this applies to you too. So that's going to be all for my video on Xande and whether you should or shouldn't pull on him. Let me know in the comments below like whether you're pulling for Xande and as well like where your resources lie, how the last couple of banners have treated you, and whether that's going to influence you pulling on this banner or saving your resources for all the nice banners that we're going to be getting in February. Honestly, February scares the living daylights out of me because there's a good 6 banners that I know I want to pull on, and obviously these last 2 haven't been the kindest to me, so hopefully my luck improves soon. And then obviously don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notification of any future videos I might be making, and I shall see you guys in the next one. So thank you very much once again, and I'll see you soon. Take care.